So what I'm going to be showing you today is the basic uses of vectors. It's just going to be a brief introduction, and my next tutorial will be showing you how to sort a series of strings alphabetically while they're in vectors. So we have our basic setup of our program. You wouldn't find this any different than anything else really. And to use vectors, we have to type in pound, include, vector. If you don't type in using namespace standards, you have to type in using vectored standards, just like you were using nline and such. That just takes care of all the standards. First thing to do now is to declare a vector by typing in vector, and then in angles inside of angle brackets, type in the data type that you're going to be using. Today I'm going to use integer value type. It could be string, it could be double, it could be anything. Then we'll give it a name called num. And we end that line. So there we have a vector called num that is an integer data type. And to populate our vector, here's what we'll do. We'll put it in a while loop, because you can basically think of vectors as a container of a data type that could be any amount. It could be 1, it could be 1,000,000. And that is an advantage of using vectors. So what we'll do is while cin x, we'll run this command line. To populate a vector, what you have to do is type in the vector's name, which is num in this case, dot push underscore back, and inside the parameters we type in what we want to be stored in the vector. So in this case, x, which if you remember from up here, x is what the user is typing in the computer for us. What this condition in the while is saying is, while the user is typing in an integer, because x up here is declared as an integer data type, populate the vector. So while cin is an integer, store that integer in our num vector. So you can play with that if you don't understand that. And what we'll do here, put in a couple end lines, separate our input from our output. We'll declare another variable called y, and we'll have that equaling 0. So while y does not equal num dot size cout num y. What we're doing here is saying as long as the variable y does not equal num size, which is the size of our vector, display the indice of that vector, starting off at 0 and going on for an indeterminate amount of times. It might display 0 characters, it could display 1,000,000. We don't know yet. So, and actually what I'll do here first is show you what num size is actually doing. So this will see out the size of our vector. Now I'm going to try to compile this. If we didn't get any errors, it should work. So there we have our command prompt window. As long as we type in integers, it'll keep storing them in the vector. Now if I type in a character, it'll stop the vector, and notice that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 integers in there, followed by one character. So our vector size will be 7. It'll not record this g, because g is not an integer, and then we'll display the vector size and the vector itself. So 7 is our vector size, and there is our input. So that's pretty neat. And so that was a pretty simple part of it right now. What I'm also going to show you to do is how to sort a vector of integers. Now, if you've ever used the transform function, you'll realize that this looks pretty similar to that. By transform, I mean when you're changing something to lowercase or uppercase. So, in our directives, we have to include algorithm. Won't work otherwise. And then anywhere before our cout, we type in sort. And in those brackets, we type in the name of our vector, which is num dot begin parameter marks, comma, num dot end. So if you can see that, num dot begin parameter brackets, comma, num dot end. So before the first character in our vector to the last character, it'll sort it. And if I don't get any errors, it should run. So we type in our characters, our integers, 12, 14, 1, 44, 2, 43, 55, 123, 1, 33, 4. And now I'll type in a character, which will stop the input into our vector. The size of our vector is 11 characters, and as you can see, it sorted them in ascending order, I believe. So 1, 1, 2, 4, 4, 12, 14, 33, 43, 44, 55, 123. And up top, we didn't type it in that order, as you can see. And that's all I'm going to be showing you today. But my next time I'll do a tutorial, I'll show you how to do sort stuff in alphabetical order. Thank you, and bye for now.